The fifth habit of Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, says, seek first to understand, then be understood. Well, we are here with yet another idea to be cogitated upon, where only if we understand it from the experts, we will be able to implement cloud strategy for digital transformation. But right before that, I'm sure, we've been gracious enough to give you good time in between to sort of explore all the features, share your perspectives on social media, and hang around at the partner booths, download resources, and all of that. If there's anything missing, I'm sure you would have time as we progress, right? So I want all of you to show some good excitement in the house, because you know what, even when we are talking tech in every session, we are primarily, just cogitating around those aspects. The greatest reward for any congregation, be it digital, be it physical, is always, hands down, the human connection. And hence, as I said, that there are some brainiacs that are awaiting your attention. There's some discussion that's just going to unfold. I want all of you to show some good excitement, just clap, 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 for good blood circulation, endorphins, endorphins, whichever way you want to call it. Let's welcome our esteemed panel on board. Let's welcome Anil Menon, CIO, Lulu Group. Let's also welcome Anjani Kumar, CIO, Strides Pharma. We'll also have with us Bhargab Dutta, the head of digital and analytics, Colgate-Palmolive. We'll also be joined by Navneethan M, VP, Chief Information Security Officer and Head IT, Groww. We also have with us Sathyajith, head of India and SAARC region, Cloudflare. Well, the strings of this conversation, ladies and gentlemen, will be held together by our diligent moderator, Abhijit Majumdar, the partner and technology strategy consulting leader, PwC. Abhijit, I'm sure you're all set, so here's just quickly handing it over to you.
Thank you, Shikha. Good morning, everyone. And thanks, Economic Times, for organizing today's virtual tech summit panel discussion and assembling this very august panel of experienced and senior CIOs and technologists from FMCG, pharma, retail and hospitality, fintech, and cloud infrastructure provider organizations. I'm Abhijit Majumdar, partner at PwC Tech and a strategy advisor to CXOs. A very warm welcome to my co-panelists today. I will be moderating today's virtual panel discussion on cloud strategy as a key enabler for digital transformation. Some 15 years into the cloud revolution, it is clear that there is a tremendous value enabled by adopting cloud. And by some estimates, at more than $1 trillion US just for Fortune 500 companies. And almost all of that value comes from business innovation and optimization rather than IT cost reduction. Even with this rapid growth in cloud infrastructure spending, it still represents a small fraction of the global $2.4 trillion market for enterprise IT services. Now, capturing this potential value requires a cloud transformation engine that is made up of probably 3 mutually reinforcing and constantly evolving elements: cloud strategy and management, business domain migration, and cloud environment services. Today, as you all know, cloud is the driving force powering digital transformation. We all know how conventional IT platforms lag heavily on agility and flexibility. That's where cloud-based models have come in as an indispensable tool, providing the much needed scalability that allows businesses to rapidly respond and transform to make the most of the upcoming opportunities and undertake new business initiatives. But harnessing the cloud in all its forms, say on-demand software applications, data and infrastructure services, smart development environments, and new innovation areas like, say, machine learning, can be an overwhelming proposition. As business needs evolve, confidence increases, and richer external capabilities come to market, companies must continuously evolve and mature in their cloud journey. This is where we often come across questions about having the right cloud strategy, the right methodology for seamless transition to these various cloud models. To answer some of these pertinent questions today, let me start today's panel discussion. I'll request all my panelists to keep their responses limited to about 2-3 minutes. And my first question to the panel is, how do you see cloud as an enabler for digital transformation? Let me come over to you, Anil.
Thanks, Abhijit, and thanks for having me here. Very truly said. A couple of words which I have to say is transformation, cloud. It just goes hand in hand. It's no more two different words. When you say transformation, somewhere around there, you are always talking about cloud. The journey is very simple, right? And with what we had last 24 months, we always thought of agility as one of the elements for us to grow. But the 24 months gave us a good push and started getting us to think on elements which can go faster to the market. That's what the key, because there is a behavior change which is on the market, which has exponentially been driven out there. How do you keep pace with it, right? So from an cloud perspective and digital transformation perspective, it goes hand in hand. If you want to be fast to the market, your time to the market, your GMV to the market is need to be high. You need to be on cloud is one classic statement, which I think is now very prevalent in the market, right? Second, the ability to create innovations, if I have to say. Cloud is a very good platform for us to play around with. One, from both cost perspective and also the time it takes to reach out to the technologies which are required for the transformation, right? We also, from a retail perspective, if you look at it, we look at three larger elements, right? The employee, the partner, right? You have then the stocks, the inventories, and then comes the customer. To drive all three elements or three pillars, if I have to say, cloud is the best journey for now and will be there for sure for the future of it. People would also want to look at what they have invested and then move to the cloud journey. So when you're doing digital transformation, cloud comes first, then comes the data center on-prem. It helps in faster market, as I said. It goes on to creative innovations. It also gives a reduced risk, both from an economical standpoint also, and also from a standpoint of securities and others, because they are now, the clouds are so mature that they provide a lot of security aspects in and around from data perspective, from a network perspective, and so on and so forth. Also, it helps in scalability, heavily scalable, right? And if you have a good partner, good collaboration partner with you, you always can optimize this scalability and make sure that you are available to your customer and it's seamless for them to access. Almost 650 million connected users now, from which right now we are only catering to almost 200 million odd. We still have 400 million still to be catered. So that is a big proposition which we have to innovate and be there, because in a very close of time, there'll be almost 1 billion users coming in onto these platforms, right? How do you make sure this billion customers have been taken care of?
Great points, Anil. Great points. And I think, I'll extend that same question over to you, Anjani. With so much of action happening in your sector, in the pharma industry, how do you see cloud as an enabler for digital transformation?
Thanks, Abhijit. I think Anil already pointed out digital transformation and cloud together. I'll call how digital transformation is married to cloud. So previously we used to hear the word digital first. Now digital transformation is shifting from cloud first to cloud everywhere. That is not said by me, but Forbes said some time back, right? If you look at, I will go through the fundamental points. First of all, like if you think of digital experience, be it e-commerce app, banking apps, collaboration apps, social media apps, what are the fundamental characteristics of being digital? Simple and intuitive, agile, fantastic user experience, highly responsive, insight-driven, personalized app. If you look at many of these points, using the cloud, agility, you can get what used to take months when you had to get servers, now can be done in minutes and hours, right? Anil talked about innovation. We all have seen in our sector, pharma sector, what used to take 8 to 12 years, getting a medicine, getting a vaccine, it was done within 1 year. And digital transformation more than, I mean, in that major part is played by cloud because there are a lot of data involved into it, user experience involved into it. Then comes highly responsive, right? More than pharma, if you look at healthcare apps, sometime back we were not able to do seamless connectivity with your relatives. Today you could do on the fly with doctors, correct? And then there are several, remote diagnostics have already come. There are platforms where they are doing remote diagnostic, and there are advanced penetration of the advanced operations are being done virtually, correct? The third one comes the insight-driven and personalized experience. And if you look at it, this is where there is a lot of game changing happening with the digital, and especially in pharma sector, manufacturing, compliance, digital compliance. Data lighthouse, the digital lighthouse kind of projects are being done using data layer. And the last part, which I would say, a lot of people say cost effectiveness. Again, there are use cases. Of course, our cloud provider would want to believe us that cloud is always cost prohibitive. But I would say there are use cases where cloud is cost prohibitive, but then there are many cases where cloud could be your partner. So this would be, I would say, fundamental points. How digital transformation is being enabled by cloud. And as Gartner, closing a statement on this, Gartner says but 95% of our digital application will be hosted on the cloud by 2025, which is right now 30%. So you can imagine where we are heading to.
That's a great statistic to close off with, Anjani. And I think, when we are going through this whole churn of digital transformation happening right in front of our eyes, being a strategist myself, I would think that there is a strategy that most organizations would follow. But I would want to come to you for your views. Maybe, Bhargab, if I can come to you, what are the key points while devising a cloud strategy?
Yeah, thanks, Abhijit. I think some of the pointers on this point already my fellow panelist has touched upon before in the previous questions. But anyway, I will try to summarize a couple of pointers from my side. So there may, in a nutshell, there are almost 7 to 9, I would say 7 to 10 pointers that needs to be checked into while devising the cloud strategy. However, I will be stressing up to 2 to 3 pointers here. First things, definitely, I would like to say about business use case that the organizations want to start with while devising the cloud strategy, right? Now, again, this is another point, but if I say business use case, it can be anything, right? So now my management will ask, where is the value first? Where I will get the first value, right? And nobody wants to wait for 6 months, 9 months to devise a strategy and then get the value. So considering that perspective in mind, business use case is one thing that needs to be taken care of while devising the cloud strategy. One example I can say for Colgate India's perspective that specifically in the because of this COVID situation in last 2-3 years, and fortunately we are on the cloud. Before that itself, we had a good amount of cloud strategy defined, and especially in the sales and marketing transformation side, the way we could accelerate and expand ours, basically from the scalability perspective on the use case perspective here, the way within the month we can expand and actually we are forced to expand leveraging cloud technologies so that all information goes to my Salesforce person on hand on his mobile device, right? And we have to do. Fortunately, we're in a good shape, and that is probably I can give you as a one big example why we should look into the business case first before devising the cloud strategy. Second point, I would like to say the application development strategy. Whether we want to bring in-house some of the solution application development, or we work with vendor partner in having those applications. So depending on that, we can devise what kind of cloud strategy we should have, whether it is PaaS based or infrastructure as a service based, likewise, right? Then, and third point, I will skip the other points, would be on the talent side. How ready the organization in terms of maturity skill to adopt these cloud technologies in a quickest manner. So this is something we do not see initially in a great detail, but if it is not thought through quickly, we may be in a soup in later stage. With the cloud strategy, you get lots of new skills, right? New skills needed. Now, how we will develop those skill set within your organization quickly? That will be a big question mark. So these are the three things I would like to highlight at this moment. There are many things, but I will skip my pointers within these three points here at this moment.
Thank you, Bhargab. I think absolutely brilliant 3 points, very unique points as well. And we'll come back to you again on these, as we summarize. But on the same question, Navneethan, if I can come to you with your experience in fintech, how do you see, or what are the key points you see while devising your cloud strategy?
Great, Abhijit. Thank you so much for having me here, and it was amazing discussions across all the panels. A couple of key things as mentioned by Anjani and then Anil and Bhargab. If you take it 20 years back, if you want to get the servers, I mean, we used to import from Singapore. It's like it takes 30 days to bring on board and put it on the grill. It's too much of stuff, right? I mean, it's like a dream for the IT folks to onboard such a new servers. We do that in a great celebrations and all the things and all. So now it's the few seconds, right, where we are ramping up and ramping down, and most of the things it's going in the the few seconds. That's a first one. And second one, really, most of the fintech. I mean, now you see this government, from Indian standpoint, what are the unicorns forecasted, and then what are the unicorn it is on the ground. It is really the ratio is going into phenomenal. It is because the reason behind is it's cloud. I mean, what are the recent unicorns and 88 unicorns in India and so fintech side? Most of the folks, 99.9%, they were in the cloud. The reason behind is they were able to plug and play, right? I mean, it's like, let us take, you have a supply chain to onboard customers or to provide a services. It may not require to, to bring all the solutions in-house. It's all the solutions, it's available. The only thing is what sequence where you are connecting is matter. That's what leader does it, right? I mean, as a leadership also, whatever it is, what are the experience we gain, just we direct the team, like what to apply, when to apply. That's the way, right? That's the way most of the fintech, they are getting to that. It's they're they are addressing the problem statement with the technology solution. Earlier, if you see the moreover cloud standpoint, it is a cost center. Now it is, they are the enabler. I mean, without the cloud, I mean, really, they cannot scale up. They cannot move ahead actually. So from devising standpoint, it's a couple of key stuff. I mean, as Bhargab mentioned, the business needs is the first and foremost things which needs to be addressed. Like really, are we business nature is it's are we going to scale up? If you take maybe fintech, of course, market hours throughout the day, but however the peak hours is morning 9 to evening 8 or sometime actually, right? But if you take maybe brokering and all the things, it's based on the BSE and NSE market hours. It's maybe 9 to 4. So during that time, really we want to scale up, and another time just we wanted to come down, right? So that's where business demands, business seek whether it is going for the cloud. Again, the cloud it's a common word, right? I mean, where we should have a classifications, what options just you want to update, whether it is SaaS, PaaS, IaaS, which one your business needs, and then how you are going to update. And second one is it's may not required to scale up all the things, right? I mean, earlier, of course, where we had a lot of hesitations to onboard this entire cloud, I mean, because of data leakage and then data handling, and in terms of legal and regulations and all things. Now, just where we have it is in India, and moreover thing is we have to identify the list of assets. What are the assets? What are the applications? What are the data flow which needs to be configured across the cloud, which may be the option of SaaS, PaaS, or IaaS actually. And third, the important point is micro-segmentations, right? I mean, where you are scaling up the business, where you wanted to move ahead, this micro-segments helps a lot to scale up and scale down. At the same time, if any breach or anything is happening, where I can do the isolations, from end to end. And the fourth, maybe the least point, legal and regulatory requirements. You may too go in terms of the bigger giant in the market, and you have too many the customers, but ultimately if you're not in line with the legal and regulatory requirement of data localizations and other stuff, we may land up on something, because I'll tell you, it's like a lot of shared IT, right? Now it is a plug and play. Whatever it is, just you can subscribe. It's an API call, right? Just you can plug the API, pull out the data, push the data. Even IT and then CS might not aware like what are the things that is coming to the pictures, right? So that's why we should make awareness across the organization, as well as it should be holistic approach across the organization, across the developers, and that if anything buying it should be in line with our legal and regulatory requirement.
Thanks,
Over to you,
Navneethan.
Abhijit.
Thanks. I think you shared a comprehensive list of things that are part of the strategy, and that's so useful for our audience. If I may just remind all of you, I think it's a very interesting topic. You all speak from first-hand experience, but if you can limit it to about 2 minutes, we can then probably go through a lot more points right across the room. Let me then come across to the next question. That's that we hear often in the tech circles. Why should I need to involve functions or business heads while devising my cloud strategy? And as CIOs yourselves, you may have heard these things quite often, right? And also as a service provider. Let me come to you, Sam, first, about your perspectives of what you hear or what you experience when you are implementing some of these solutions. And then Anil, I'll come back to you again.
Thanks, Abhijit, and hello to all the panelists and the audience here. It's a pleasure to be on this panel. Very good question, Abhijit. I was making some points when Anil was speaking, and Bhargab and Anjani and Navneethan mentioned this, and it's all boils down to how critical is this as a cloud in the digital transformation. As we all know, the digital transformation has been ongoing for some time, but Navneethan mentioned that 20 years back that service, if you had to order, it used to take months. This exactly happened when we shut down, when India went into lockdown. What exactly happened was even the service which was there in the customs there was a cooling period with this. It took months about it, even if availability. Today we are talking about semiconductor availability and things like that. So it brings to the pertinent point which Anil mentioned about time, right? Time to deploy. I mean, this is exactly what happened, that everybody was in the office and suddenly moved that government announced a shutdown, and then everybody is off, and hospitals had to function. The service providers had to function. Now, how do you do this? How do you make this, the IT practitioners, IT people provide those access and being the critical assets being available? So that's time. And what you mentioned about the shipments and all those things. And you also mentioned about the scalability. Where do you generally design for 5% of the workforce to be working remote, and suddenly you have 100% of the remote workers? So in summary, what happened was the digital transformation accelerated because of this, what happened in the last 2 years. So why should the business, you asked me the question that should business be involved? It is no longer a supporting point about the business. It is the way the business is conducted. See, for example, I'm talking about picking up from Navneethan's point of Groww today, how it is delivering services. When we used to sell shares, I used to sign the DP order form, call up and sign and do the physical transaction, which is there today. On a click of a button, we are doing it. A lot of digital natives were born, and today they were not impacted during the pandemic. But a lot of pharma industries, a lot of traditional industries really went into issue because of it was the way the enterprises were designed was with the fact that it is a hub and spoke architecture where everything inside is secure. Suddenly you realize it's impacted. So every business function today has to rely on it, because whether it is the compute layer, the applications, or the network layer, what's happening is the transformation has happened on all these three layers. So it is the way to go forward, because there was reluctance earlier in terms of the practitioners adopting because of security, and the false hope that everything inside is secure is no longer there. So here the threats are everywhere. The users are everywhere. It's an anywhere operations. So that's where cloud forms an important strategy for all business function. It's not the CIO's function alone.
Thanks for that, Sam. Anil, if I may come to you now, you are part of a retail hospitality industry where you have borne the brunt of the last 2 years of economic upheavals. Yeah, so, from your perspective, what would be your thoughts around involving functions or business heads while devising your cloud strategy?
Thanks, Abhijit. And I think that's a key as of now. So it's not just about cloud. When you say digital transformation, unless you take the organization with you, educate them, skills, get the skill set up. So I take it into three parts, right? I get tech funding, right? When I get a business with me, their thoughts are aligned with me. They make sure that the tech fundings are happening at the right time, at the right place, right? Cloud helps us doing that. And the second part of it is how can we bring in this tech business collaboration, which helps me increase their skill sets. So while they do a strategy for, or they create a strategy for go to market and their business deals and their KPIs, how do they make sure that they are aware of what cloud can do for them? Can it be more crystallized for them? Can it be a decision maker for them, saying that, you know what, Anil is already on cloud. He has given us all this information. Can I build him onto that? Right? So the conversation becomes even more crystal. The clarity is there in the strategy. And also they are aware of the flexibility of it, the agility. The key to all of this is agility. While tech is agile, can business be that agile? What would it require for business to be agile? For example, you have now everyone been hearing about D2C. The key of D2C is visibility, and end-to-end visibility from customer to the supply chain to the procurement and so on and so forth. How do you bring this synergy? And cloud can help you doing this. Business, if you onboard business onto these ideas, I think you get a better strategy out there. Also, the risk management is low. Right? The risk assessment is quite in the framework kind of thing, if I have to call it. That's more what my take would be, and an engineering talent and the skill set talent across at the partner level also increases. That adaptability increases if I take business with me. That's more my
Thanks, Anil. Thanks. I think very well said. Take the organization with you. That just makes for a better risk mitigated strategy. Which brings me to my next question. That once you have your strategy, and you then are on thinking about the right approach and the methodology for moving your workloads onto the cloud, how do you design what should be the right approach and the methodology for that workload movement? Let me come to you, Navneethan, first, because from the fintech industry, you guys are probably the most agile in terms of business requirements. I mean, your flexibility, moves a couple of times in a day.
Yeah, absolutely, Abhijit. No, that's great stuff, right? I mean, as I rightly marked out, like how we moved and then what's the strategy. Moreover, just from the growth standpoint, it was a cloud-born company, I can say. I mean, from the day when it was on the cloud, but the previous organizations where we have worked really, I have put a hands from data center to the cloud. Really, just we are able to see the difference from the scaling and other things and all. Irrespective of vendor, irrespective of cloud service provider, it's more of a just across the world, just where we have a three major approach people will look, right? I mean, more of the lift and shift, and more of the refactoring of this entire applications, whatever we want to do it. Then there will be a re-platforming, what we wanted to approach. That gives a very strong strategy. I mean, which one will fit for us to move ahead? What kind of data we have it? So we cannot come to the conclusions. Let us take maybe the platform. I mean, the fintech company X is doing the lift and shift. It's the same thing will be applicable for us, right? It's absolutely not. Even though if it is a fintech, and then our business nature is might be different from other organization. That's a way where what are the three methodologies I have mentioned. It's like it has pros and cons in terms of how we wanted to move ahead actually. Right. In the pros and cons also, moreover, we do the revamping based on there is 7 hours and then 5 CSP they provide us 5 hours, like how we are doing refactoring, re-platform, and repurchasing end-to-end, re-hosting of the entire environment, the relocating as well as the retaining. Then just finally we are moving to the retail options. So this all the things where, as I mentioned, it's like based on the cost, based on your platform, and similarly based on the lock-in period, what's based on your locations where you wanted to get it, what is the latency you wanted to get it, and the migrating core services from X to Y. I mean, saying that from other vendor to the the X vendor to Y vendor, or it's maybe from the data center to the the cloud strategy. So that's why where we have the combination of all three strategy. Each one have a pros and cons. Really, we have to make a matrix and then come to the conclusions which one will fit for our infra and then our requirement to move ahead. The reason behind the reason behind it is like a lot of supply chain attacks it's happening, right? I mean, really, just we wanted to ensure that the SaaS product, whatever they have created, it has enough controls with it. Yeah,
thank you, Navneethan. Yeah, I think great points. It's the decision matrix. There is no really cookie cutter solution for everyone. Depends on cost, lock-in period, locations. Very well said. Sam, from your perspective, from your vantage point of being infrastructure services provider on the web, how do you see your clients taking those decisions as they move their workloads?
Yeah, sure. There are various as Navneethan mentioned that there are digital natives or born in the cloud companies who are not at all affected by what happened in those during pandemic and the restriction, and today what we're calling as anywhere operations, right? The fact that we are sitting here and being part of one panel in different geographies, which we used to have as a physical one, it's testament to what's happening today, right? In terms of the strategy, what people are looking at, first and foremost, people were averse because of the security involved in the cloud. People were reluctant to move to cloud, and in the digital transformation, you will look at it, traditional banking as well, with the ledgers and things like that. Digital transformation started happening from there, right? Digital transformation is not just the cloud by itself, right? But the way the business are conducted today, it's very pertinent to have this. So basically, it has three layers of your digital transformation. In terms of your storage and compute, there's an application layer and the network layer. The application layer, the SaaS vendors moved to the cloud and made it, be it the Salesforce of the world, be it the Zohos of the world, made it that flexible to have any of these applications. It no longer resides in your own data center. The compute and storage also has moved to multi-cloud, and you're no longer in your data center. The reason people are now moving away from the so-called false feeling of security, because the perimeter has crumbled. Today, the internet is your network. How do you ring fence the internet? It is not possible. The strategy what today people are adopting is do not trust, but verify. So what is the zero trust architecture which is there? So when you have your applications on the cloud, when you have your compute on the cloud, and you have your network also on the cloud, and ensure that you have a secure access service edge and have multi-cloud options is what is the way businesses are looking at, and ensuring that your security, performance, and reliability of your network is not hampered and your businesses are running at all times.
Thanks, Sam. I think great points. The fact that the adoption of the cloud has changed over the last few years and precipitated by the last 2 years of the pandemic is of course evident all around us. So great points and great experiential sharing, which brings me to my last point, or question rather, that there are several or different as service options available on the cloud, right? SaaS, IaaS, PaaS. How do you as practitioners identify the right fit for your workloads? I think one of you mentioned this previously, but I just want to come in a focused manner to you, Bhargab, first, and then maybe Anjani to you, to take your take on how you decide the right as a service model for your organizations.
Yeah, thanks, Abhijit. So this is actually a very interesting point, and in my experience so far, cutting across all industries, working with all industries, I would say that there is not a right or wrong approach in a way. Now again, depending on again a couple of pointers with regard to where the organization want to see or evolve in their digital transformation journey. So that is that is one of the driving factor behind which service model we should go for. Now, and I can see that um, if I look at the overall purview of the service models, IaaS, then SaaS, PaaS, infrastructure as a service is the most largest one, I believe, and it is growing quite extensively across globally. Now, which is most of the organizations are looking at, and primarily to mitigate IT costs. There is a primary driver towards going towards that. However, it depends again the scale of the organization at this moment, right? How much you can mitigate that cost, and at the same time you have to also look for migration of our existing IT portfolio to cloud, right? All these things we need to take care of while defining that service model. Then, and at the same time, there's a mix of both IaaS and SaaS approaches also there in certain same organization. In certain functions, probably software as a service could be a another adaptable service model, because we know that there's certain mature software vendors are available or solutions are available. I do not need to develop in-house in a way, right? I do not need to do anything on this. So from that perspective, I also need to have certain aspect of my some of the functional need as at SaaS model. So these are the two things. I will just give you an example on the, let's say in FMCG context, we have from the marketing side, we have a loyalty management program, which is, we know there is good amount of standard and matured players are already available. And considering the scale of our business, when we have about 17 million or 1.7 million direct stores, retail stores in our system directly, and for them to manage the loyalty program and all, it's better to go SaaS model for that particular initiative only, right? So those are the things we need to take care of while identifying which service model is suitable for you. So these are my thoughts in this case.
Thank you, Bhargav. Well said. Anjani, if I can come to you and if I can request you to summarize your thoughts in a minute, because I'm conscious of the time that we have, and then let us then summarize all your points.
Sure. I think Bhargab already covered most of the point. We have to look at this from service from various angles and look at the guiding principle. And I would just classify this into three parts. One is what is the outcome you expect? Is it the cost? Is it CapEx versus OpEx? Highly responsive or scalable, actionable data? Any of these, right? Then second one is, does it suit to our ecosystem? What is my network bandwidth? What is my existing technology stack? How well it integrates and blends with that? IaaS, PaaS, SaaS that he talked about, Bhargab talked about, right? So if you look at Salesforce, Workday kind of application, many a times it's plug and play. Does it suit? And fourth one, very important point someone has made, skill. Do you have in-house or major vendor who is already onboarded? What kind of a skill do they complement? Third point, which is adoption and security. Again, we could provide the best services if it is not adopted well, and if it is not secure, you know what is the future. So with this, I think these are the three factors I would take as a guiding principle in deciding whether this service is good or right for me or not.
Right. Thank you, Anjani. And with that, I think we've had a fairly robust discussion around all the topics, right? From how cloud is an enabler for digital transformation, what are the key points while designing the strategy, what are the business functions and why they should be involved, what's the right approach. And I have taken notes, and I think the great points made. If I can summarize on all your behalf, I think what you're saying is cloud is important really, because the ability to create innovation and play around with it helps you go to market faster. And the cloud first concept has really now given way to a cloud everywhere concept, which means that cloud is not an option. It is the default mode now for many of you. And also the fact that it's insight driven and personalized makes this a very useful tool for your business to scale up and grow. A key points on the cloud strategy, among others, is how how ready you are to be able to take on internally and to be able to support those services. And hence that becomes a deciding factor for you whether you should move on the cloud or not. And most importantly, it should be holistic, right from business needs to looking at all the micro segments, to looking at regulatory and legal requirements. The whole cloud strategy really has to be holistic and not really a point silo solution. Right? All of you agreed that business needs to be involved, because IT is not a supporting function anymore. It's all about enabling the business. And hence, in today's digital transformation, taking the organization with you is not only a better strategy, but also a very differentiated and a risk mitigated one. And hence, it's not only an option, but it's a requirement for a cloud strategy to have business along with you. You also mentioned that there is no right approach and a cookie cutter solution for moving your workloads to the cloud. There are several factors: cost, lock-in period, location, latency. All of these factors need to be considered by you in your individual context, right? Before you decide on the right methodology to shift to the cloud. And last but not the least, how do you identify the right model? I think, again, that depends on where you are in your journey, but essentially really looking at what suits your current ecosystem, what suits the current skills that are available with you versus outside in the market, and the right sizing of the initiative so that the adoption and the security are well taken care of. I think this summarizes a very robust conversation of thoughts across from pharma, retail, hospitality, fintech, FMCG, and the web infra security areas. So I think I enjoyed, learned a few fair points from your experiences, and I hope all of you enjoyed as well. With that, I want to hand it over back to our host, Shikha.
Abhijit, thank you very, very much to you and your set of panel out there. We wish with cloud, all our attendees can indulge in smarter and faster decision making. And of course, if you can project and anticipate trends, you can be a trailblazer and give your customer what they want even before they realize it. So now, with the panel discussion that just unfolded, with the accomplished folks that just spoke to you, I hope you're convinced that cloud can be a good partner. So let's be more updated. Let's demystify cloud further. Join us for our next session. But right before that, I think it'll be a good idea to just hang around in the networking lounge out there for a quick chat with your fellow attendees. Connect, please. Keep it buzzing at #ETVTS. We will be right back.